Hi everyone, it's Artem from KeenTools, and in this short GeoTracker for Blender tutorial, we'll focus on a specific export option called Selected Pins Export, which can be very useful when adding CG elements to moving objects in a shot. All materials we're going to use today can be found in the project folder that you can download and follow along using the link in the description. But before we start filling our shot with visual effects, let's briefly explore GeoTracker export options. We're going to be using this stock video with a classic vintage camper as an example. You see that it's already being tracked with a 3D model we'd also found on the net. If you go to the bottom of the Scene tab on the GeoTracker panel, you'll see the Export button and a number of options here. In our previous videos, we exported geometry and camera, and now we're going to take a look at Selected Pins Export, which lets you export any point on your geometry as a Blender empty. You can either select an existing pin or create a new one. Let's drop a pin somewhere on the roof and hit export. This creates an empty, and if you exit pin mode, you can clearly see that it moves along with the 3D model. This empty is now object-oriented, which means its axes have the same space orientation as the axis of the 3D model, but you can also export it normal or world-oriented. You might have also noticed that we exported our pin using the linked option, which means that if we refine our tracking and so the animation of our model changes, our empty is going to adapt to those changes too. So if we uncheck it, select our pin again and export it one more time, we'll get an empty that won't be parented to the van, and it's going to have its own animation keys over here, and so that animation will be baked to the 3D space. Another important thing is this empty is a separate object in our scene. So if we split our workspace, go to the pin mode in the left window and delete this guy here, you'll see that this won't do any harm to the empty. And if we start manipulating the mesh, you'll see that no matter how we twist and turn it, our empty will still be there on the same point on the roof. Okay, now let's see how we can use Selected Pins Export for adding CG elements easily to a shot. I'm gonna delete these previously created empties, drop a new pin on the roof, choose Selected Pins here and click on the Export button, then exit pin mode just to see better the elements I'm importing, go to File, Append, find objects inside our project folder, select something to start with like satellite and hit Append. We have a new object in our scene now, let's get it on the roof. So just click on it, go to the Relations tab in the Object Properties and select this GT pin as parent here. There we go, what's left to do is put it upright. So let's press R, X and then -90 on the keyboard, or you can use this rotate tool. If we go to the camera view and press play, we'll see our 3D van moving exactly as the camper in the clip, but now it has a satellite dish installed on its rooftop. Let's bring more objects to our scene. I'm going to create a new pin somewhere here on the van's front, go to the Scene tab, hit Export, then exit pin mode and import a 3D fire extinguisher using the Append option again. Then select it and parent it to the newly created empty here in Relations just like we did before. We'll need to rotate it along the X, so let's do the R, X and -90 over again. Now when we parent an object to an empty, Blender syncs its pivot point coordinates with the empty coordinates. That means the pivot point of this fire extinguisher is over here at the bottom. If you want to adjust your 3D model's position on the surface of the mesh, just drag it like this and it's going to change the position of your object in all the other frames too. Likewise, we can adjust other things here, like how close to the van's front this fire extinguisher has to be. And of course, we can rotate it along other axes. And again, all these changes will be applied to all the other frames. So that makes it very easy to import and place various objects to specific points on the surface of your geometry. And to make it even faster, you can also select a number of pins and then hit Export, and this will export each point as a separate empty. Let's exit pin mode and bring more objects in. So I'm gonna go to Append again and select Ice Cream, Radio, Rim, another satellite and a tire. And now I'm gonna put them all on the van, some on top, some on the side, using the same Relations tab and locating them the same way as I did earlier. Now that we have all these things in place, we can move on to making them look more realistic in the shot. We're not going to spend too much time on that because it's not the main topic of this tutorial. Let's do something simple. So, like go to the Shading tab, then here in Render Properties, choose Cycles Render Engine and then go to Rendered Viewport Shading. I want these objects to cast shadows on the surface of the van, so I'm going to select my 3D van, go to Object Properties, scroll down to the Visibility tab and activate Shadow Catcher. Next, I'm going to set up a lighting scheme. I'm going to switch this to World, create an Environment Texture node, load an HDR, then add a texture coordinate and mapping nodes. do a bit of rotation so that the proper light comes from the right direction, and then wire it all to the background node. The final bit is compositing, and I'm gonna use exactly the same scheme as in our previous video guides. You can check it out in our Basics of Camera Tracking tutorial, for example. Let's go straight to the result. As you see, it's pretty easy to add CG elements to a moving object using Selected Pins Export. You can place them on any point of your geometry with just a few clicks. So I hope that will help you quickly and easily fill your shots with some cool visual effects. Download the fully functional GeoTracker free trial from KeenTools.io. Check out our other products. If you want to request a specific topic for our future videos, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about our new tutorials and streams. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.